It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That cover right there was a cover of Bad Company, a song called Burning Sky. That's from the brand new Lynch Mob release, simply known as Sun Red Sun. And on the phone right now, the child of the sun, so to speak, it's the one and only George Lynch. George, how are you, man?
Hey, not feeling too bad. I just kind of rolling out of bed, actually. Been burning the midnight oil in the studio, so.
Sure.
Which is a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, George, right now, obviously, you have a number of projects going on. You have you have Lynch Mob with the Sun Red Sun record. You have forthcoming. You've got this Lynch and Sweet project that's coming up, and you also have KXM, which came out 6-7 months ago, whatever it was, and did well for you as well. It's interesting to me that all three seem very creatively different for you. Now, I haven't heard the Lynch Suite, really, but the other two seem very creatively different. Is that difficult for you to have three active and yet very creatively diverse projects kind of going at the same time?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for calling it Lynch Suite and not Sweet Lynch, which is what I think they're calling it.
Right.
It's really hard for me. That would escape my mouth. I can't say it. So, yeah. I mean, who calls a band Sweet Lynch, please? Anyways, is it hard? Is it difficult? No, it's actually fun. It's not. It's what would be more difficult is just to go in rudimentarily and just operate the same way every time. To me, is boring and not challenging, and might as well, have a job at a factory making widgets. So, yeah, no, I mean, I love it. That's exactly what I want to do. I want to kind of be all over the map and do different things and create and work with different people and just get my creative juices flowing and challenge myself and people around me. I think it's wonderful.
Excellent. Well, George, let's talk about the Lynch Mob first a little bit. Much reported after Sound Mountain Sessions came out that Oni had left Lynch Mob for a third time, I believe. And I guess, was that true? And how does he come back?
Well, yeah, he did. I mean, we've had a history of that happening. Lead singers, go figure. I don't know. I'm kind of done trying to figure it out and psychoanalyze the LSD syndrome.
Right.
So I mean I love Oni's voice and I love his lyrics and I love things about him, things that he does. But then again, I've been frustrated my whole life with singers in general, and I've just got to the point now where I just kind of let it go. I'm not trying to control the universe. I just do what I do. If people want to work with me, they work with me. If not, try to do the right thing, treat everybody fairly, and so Oni's back. Things are going well right now. I'm actually working on another record for Frontiers Records.
Okay.
For spring release, a full-length album that's come out. Fantastic. So right now everything's wonderful. We're in our honeymoon period. It's kind of like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burke. They just keep getting married over and over again. They get divorced so they can get married again.
Right. So
who knows?
Is it
I got enough projects where this one blows up. I got lots of other ones.
Right. Perfect. Well, with the new record, the one thing now, like I told you, I've only heard the two songs, "The Burning Sky" and "Subliminal Dream." Both of them seem a little bit slower than what traditionally Lynch Mob is, and like I said, I haven't heard the rest of it. So is that kind of the flow this time, more mid-tempo, or is that just luck of the draw with the two that I was given?
Well, there's another song in there called Erotica, which is it's definitely more upbeat and intense. It's like in Sound Mountain Sessions, there was Sucker, which was more upbeat, intense, kind of more of a driver. I don't know. I mean, maybe as we get older, we start to slow down a little bit. I don't know. I mean, kind of how Metallica did that. As they matured, the stuff got a little less intense and more mid-tempo.
Sure.
I mean, maybe that just happens across the board with everybody. We just write the best songs we can and what we feel inspired to write at the moment, and I don't really think about it that much. But I think in a sense, though, I guess when I'm writing, what I'm thinking of is, for a band of our genre to write something upbeat or fast is a little more challenging considering what people are listening to today in heavy music.
Mm-hmm.
If you write something heavy that, you just can't get away with a hot for teacher.
Right,
like
sure.
That, you got bands like Meshuggah out there and all these, crazy, intense metal bands doing all kinds of tricky stuff, and we can't do that because that would be disingenuous to try to do that. So we've got to find a way to do it creatively and differently. So, so the song I mentioned that's on the record, if you haven't heard Erotic, it's very interesting, different. It's not your typical double bass, Judas Priest, whatever, band.
Right.
That's hard to describe, but yeah, maybe it's a little more challenging, and yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. You got me thinking about my own writing now. You got to go in today when I'm done with you and write stuff.
So you'll go into the studio today and write all real fast songs,
I'm
160
writing right
beats.
now. I'm writing and recording guitars these last week, this week, and next week, and that's what we're doing. We're doing all the guitars for the next Lynch Mob record. So yeah, I gotta.
Excellent.
To figure something out.
Right. Well, George, with this project, you have that going on. At the same time, you somehow worked out the new Lynch and Sweet record, which I believe comes out in January. Doesn't seem like the kind of guy. And again, it's outward looking in, and I don't know, but Michael Sweet does not seem like the guy I would always associate with George Lynch. How does that working relationship develop? I mean, did you know him through? I'm sure you probably crossed paths along the way, but how do you end up coming to a working relationship with him?
Well, we shared an agent a few years ago, Lynch Mob and what's his band?
Striper.
Band, Striper. So we did a whole bunch of shows together that year, and so we were actually shared a bus for a while, and so we got to hang out a lot. Got stranded in snowdrifts together, and
right.
We stuck on a boat together for a while. So yeah, no, he's just a wonderful guy, and a phenomenal singer. Stylistically, I think he's kind of in the same ballpark as the singer I had in the band when I was in the 80s, Dokken.
Mm-hmm.
Much better, I feel. And he's really, obviously takes care of his voice and sings extremely well, and he's consistent, and he's just very dependable, and he's very upfront and honest and intelligent, and doesn't come with any baggage that I can detect.
Right.
So those are all wonderful things and make life a lot easier, in trying to operate in the business end and the creative end. So, so we he hit me up at some point, and asked me if I would get involved in this. And I'm actually involved, initially as a hired gun, to write the songs instrumentally, and then he would finish them up. We never worked together in the studio. I did everything here on the West Coast, and the rest of the guys worked on the East Coast. So I wrote all the, just the basic tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Sent them to him. They edited them a bit to perform to the vocals and whatever they wanted to do. Arrangement-wise, they made some changes, and then tracked everything and sent everything back to me, and I finished everything up in my studio with my engineer, the Wizard, and sent it back to them, and they mixed it. So we were actually never set foot in the same studio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so in that sense, it remains to be, seen that it's a fully developed band. I mean, we are making plans now to possibly go out on tour, but we're working that out. And we're talking about some interesting things, including packaging Lynch Mob and Sweet Lynch, Lynch Sweet, whatever, packaging those two bands together.
Okay. No, that sounds cool.
What I jokingly suggested was call it the Whole Lot of Lynch Tour, and that would be the third band, and we just mix up the guys. Everybody play a different instrument and play Led Zeppelin covers for the opening act.
Nice.
That'd be a whole lot of Lynch. So we should have 3 Lynch bands, right? We call it the Whole Lot of Lynch Tour. I'm joking, of course.
Sure, definitely. Well, George, I want to just kind of look at more or less your history here for a second. You know, it's really no secret, and you'll probably shy away from this just because it is a big compliment, but I'm sure you're aware that when it comes to people looking at the 80s, you're pretty much regarded as the number 2 guy from the 80s, right behind Eddie Van Halen. And, you know, obviously that's a humongous compliment, and you've certainly earned it through your catalog. I wonder for you if you've ever thought that was fair to you to fall behind Eddie, given the fact that you've explored so much more musical territory. Now, admittedly, it's had different levels of success, but I mean, if you look at your catalog and you go to some of the, I'll call it the weird stuff in your catalog, the Microdot or the Souls of We, stuff like that, you know, you really, for better or for worse, you always tried to do different stuff where, let's face it, Eddie Van Halen does one style. Does it very well, but he does one style. Do you think that that's fair for you to be considered, you know, behind Eddie Van Halen?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he was groundbreaking and, you know, came on the scene like an atom bomb and changed everything and influenced all of us. So, no, I think there's no such thing as fairness. I mean, it's just, the word doesn't even mean anything. You know, things just are what they are, and people accept or reject things the way they are generally going to do them, you know, in mass.
Right.
You know, I mean, I never look at things that way. I just sort of, you know, I'm very fortunate that I am where I am and able to make a living doing what I'm doing and be able to do what I do. I mean, it's that simple. I'm not really in competition with anybody.
Sure.
You know, 7 billion people on the planet. I certainly can't be in competition with them. I'd rather look at it like I'm sort of cooperating with everyone else, you know, and I'm offering something of value to, you know, the rest of society, and I'm compensated for it.
Sure.
And, you know, I've been very fortunate to be able to raise 6 kids and 6 grandkids on a musician's income, and, you know, and through the decades, there's been challenging periods in my life where, you know, I had to struggle a bit to be able to put things together, and so I've diversified quite a bit and learned to kind of spread myself out. So I build guitars, and I, you know, play and do outside projects, and I, you know, work with my endorsers and do lots of clinics and teaching and instructional stuff and develop products and, you know, many other things. Sort of even the ebb and flow of the industry out, you know, because, you know, the 90s were not kind to us guitar players.
Right, sure.
It was definitely a dry spell. You know, but on the creative level, it's just wonderful. I mean, to be able to kind of do other stuff, and I think people, at least maybe some people will look back and go, well, you know, it was kind of cool that we tried different things.
Sure.
Maybe you didn't hit everything right, hit the nail on the head every time. I think it's still better to try. You know?
Right, definitely.
And it's all genuine. None of it's disingenuous. It's not like I'm trying to be Mr. Genius, you know, and be all over the map. It's just I really genuinely love playing all this other kind of stuff. And it's not like I'm that all over the map. You know, I'm not turning into a gypsy jazz guitar player and putting on a Meshuggah metal hat the next day.
Right. Definitely.
So that would be something, right?
Right. I'd listen.
Yeah, I think there are guys like that try to, whether it's, you know, genuine or not, you know, are all over the map, you know.
Sure.
Just trying to prove that they can do that, which I think that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just, you know, I don't think the stuff I do is that different than other things I do. I think it's all kind of the same. It's just different flavors of the same thing, you know.
Sure.
Still me playing rock music, you know. It's not like I'm reinventing the wheel.
Right, definitely. All right, George, I'm going to give you one mulligan for your career. With that mulligan, you can take one of these two, and nobody will ever know it existed. And you tell me which one and why. Lynch Mob Smoke.
What am I doing?
You're going to take. I'm gonna offer you two records that you did. You tell me which one you would take out of your catalog and never let anybody know that you ever recorded, and why you would choose that one. Okay?
And I have to pick one of the two that you're telling me?
Yeah. Or you could say neither.
You're not going to tell me the one I'm thinking about.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be one of the two.
Okay.
I'm going to offer Smoke This, or I'm going to offer Shadow Life.
Oh, Shadow Life, absolutely. Absolutely. Without, hands down, not even a contest. Yeah.
Not even because of the music, or because of everything that was going on, or what?
Well, just on the weight of the music alone, absolutely. I quite honestly love the Smoke This record, and I know most people don't, but
Right.
I'm still in touch with all the guys. I still play with the bass player in Shadow Train, which is another group I have.
Okay.
Gabe Rosales, and we listen to it, periodically and talk about it, and we just love that record. I think it was a phenomenal record, and I was so surprised that people didn't jump on it. The singer was just insanely great. I mean, live he was like a powerhouse ball of energy. He'd lose 10 pounds every show of just water weight. The whole band was just insane. It was such a fun gig. I just loved that band, and was just kind of devastated and reeling when it did less than nothing. And it was so roundly rejected by critics and fans alike. So I was.
Do you think that was?
It just proved to me that I probably don't know what I should be doing. So I'm sort of hitting this.
Nice.
But the Dokken record, the Shadow Life, that was just there was just no chemistry happening. We were all in different places, kind of not getting along, and sort of lost our way. And that was a classic bad record.
Right.
Yeah, sort of unlistenable.
Right.
Uninspired.
Well, I won't argue that point. Ugh, that's a tough one to one to take.
Yeah. That's a tough one to listen to.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Hey, at least I got my one bad record out of my system.
Yeah,
well, in your estimation too. I was going to say Breaking the Chains, quite honestly, but no.
Really, you don't like Breaking the Chains?
Well, I did like it the way that it was when we recorded it, but then Don got a hold of it and destroyed it. They basically sent us home from Europe, and okay, we're done, guys. I'm just going to hang out here for a while and hang out with my girlfriend or something. I'm like, okay. Well, what he did was he stayed in the studio when we were gone and had his way with the record.
Oh wow!
Which was pump up all the vocals, take my guitars out, destroy the mix, and it just sounded weak and wimpy, and it just killed it. And it was actually pretty muscular and pretty tough when it was in the studio. I mean, was down in the basement at Dirk's studio in Germany. The Scorpions were upstairs. Roy Gallagher was upstairs. These guys wanted to hear what was going on. I'd bring down, the guitar player from Scorpions and Roy, and they'd come down and they'd sit in. And I was so proud of my guitar tracks. Because me and Michael Wagner just hole up in there, and we'd board the place up. We wouldn't let anybody in. I had a Telefunken 24-track tube machine, an MCI 500 board. I had one of Richie Blackmore's old cabinets, and a Rangemaster treble booster, my gray tube Echoplex, and my old Marshall head, my Plexi head, and my Tiger guitar, and it sounded so good. It was the first, record I'd ever done, really. So I was really committed to making a statement.
Sure.
And quite honestly, the sounds were just unbelievable. And then when it got all done, when he did what he did to it, he killed it. So it was very hard for me to listen to because of that. Because I knew what it was,
Right.
And nobody will ever hear that.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. But what they will get to hear is brand new Lynch Mob, Sun Red Sun, coming very shortly, and as well as Lynch and Sweet, as it is advertised, at least on this show. So, George, I figured maybe what we would do is end the interview with the other track that I have, Subliminal Dream from Lynch Mob. What can you tell us about that song to wrap the interview up?
Well, the songs that were recorded initially for this record were done about 2.5 years ago with an engineer-producer named Brian Karlstrom. He was great engineer and great producer. And we recorded in an open architecture environment, studio where everything was kind of just elbowed off in one room. The board was in the same room that the band was in. And, there wasn't any walls dividing us. It was very, very interesting. And creatively just beautiful. And we really worked hard on these songs for almost a year, I think, like 9 months. We worked on these songs and really was meticulous about it, and we spent time in the recording process. And the band fell apart. And I've spent the last, 2.5 years trying intermittently to get this record back on track.
Right.
And finally managed to. So it's a 3-year process. So I'm very proud of it, and it's a good feeling to finally get it out there, because I just wanted it out there so people could hear it, because when you create this stuff and you think that it's good, that's the only thing. You just need to get it out. It's cathartic. It's like a release. And if you don't finish the release part, it's very frustrating,
Sure.
I'm not talking about sex right now. I'm talking about
well, there too, right?
So it's the same thing. Right. It's when I didn't finish the last part, I didn't get it out there. And then once it's out there, even if it doesn't do business, you got to, you finish the process and then you can move on.
Sure.
It's hard to move on, and it just sort of bugs you when it isn't finished, So I finished it, and
right.
Very, very proud of it. And, it's very unfortunate that the band disbanded, because I thought it was honestly the best incarnation of Lynch Mob since the very original band back in 1990.
Sure.
It was Robbie Crane on bass and Scott Coogan on drums, and Chris Oney and myself. Mm-hmm. And I think if we had stayed together, we've had a chance to probably, be a band that mattered and kind of stuck around and done some better things.
Sure.
And that this record is a reflection of that band at its peak.
Excellent. Well, let's check it out right now. This is brand new stuff from Lynch Mob. This is Subliminal Dream right here on your Classic Metal Show.